Thank you so much for joining tonight. Got a really interesting word I want to share with all of you tonight. Just super happy that you've tuned in. Happy to have this opportunity to present the word kind of through my eyes tonight, so to speak. Real quick, I just want to encourage everyone, now more than ever, it is important to set your path. Every single day, we have to get up and we have to set our path. Pastor encourages us often to get up and read the Word and to talk to God first thing in the morning before we do anything else. This is a habit that I've tried to make part of my life, part of my daily ritual, but here in the last few months, I've realized how important it is to set the tone for myself, for the day, and not worry about anything else until I've heard from the Lord and read His Word. So I just want to encourage everyone, every single day, get up, read your Bible. And also I want to say there's no wrong way to consume the Bible. My favorite thing in the morning right now, currently, is to get up, put my AirPods in, listen to the Word while I'm taking the dog down the street in the morning before anything else is going on. And it's just really blessing me being able to hear the Word and then to go back and read the Word and just taking it in different ways has really been blessing me. So I just want to encourage everyone before we jump into the Word here. Eat the Word, breathe the Word, consume the Word, get it in there. It's what's going to carry us through. It's what's going to get us to the other side of all of this. So as we jump in here, in Luke chapter 2 and verse 49, we see the end of a story here and a very brief statement here that has stuck with me. It came up in a conversation with a good friend of mine named Ezra. We were talking one night, and he said this phrase from this verse, and it has stuck with me, and I want to share it with you all right now. In Luke chapter 2 and verse 49, and he being Jesus, said unto them, "Why did you seek me? Did you not know that I must be about my Father's business?" This conversation that I was having with my good friend, we were talking about some different things going on in the world, different things going on in our lives, spiritual things, and the phrase came up and the statement came up, are we talking about spiritual things or are we about spiritual things? It's a phrase him and I have used with each other a lot of times throughout the years. You know, we're about different things at different times. During basketball season, he's all about the Lakers. And during baseball season, I'm all about the Braves. And different points in our lives, we're all about different things. But when he said, are we talking about spiritual things or are we being about spiritual things? Are we about it? And that's what I want to talk to you real quick about. Being about it. Be about it. What are we about in 2020 right now? What are the things that we are about? I know the things that are at everybody's forefront of their mind, and I know the things that we're all typically about. Right now, in this day and age, we're about takeout, and we're about delivery. We're about social distancing. We are very much about social media and media streaming. We are consuming and we're taking in all these things, and we're all about all these different things. And they're good things. They're not wrong things. But are we losing focus? Are we about the things of God? Are we about our Father's business, like Jesus said? There are so many things that we are called to be doing. When I think about the things in my life and I think about the things that we are called to be doing, inevitably I'm always drawn to the fruits of the Spirit. I'm always drawn to what the Word says: love, joy, peace, patience, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, and self-control. I always look at those things and I try to gauge myself based on those fruits. Am I about the Father's business? Am I about spiritual things? Am I about all these great things that I'm supposed to be doing? There's a story that I want to share that I always think of, and I count myself so lucky, and I didn't realize it at the time because I was young, and I didn't realize what I was actually seeing, but I truly believe that I saw all of the works of the Spirit, all the fruits of the Spirit, displayed in one single interaction. My grandfather, he died several years back, but my grandfather was a great man. My grandfather was a kind man, he was a gentle man, and he was all of these things. But I saw an interaction with him and another man one day that really, the more I think about it, and every time I look back on this, to me it was all of the fruits of the Spirit displayed at one time. So my grandpa, he grew up he grew up poor, and he grew up not having a lot of things. And so as he got older and he accumulated things, my grandpa, I always smile looking back on it. He was the kind of guy that if it's not broke, don't fix it. And even if it is broke, keep using it because you can still get some use out of it. He had a collection of not quite broke, but not fully functioning equipment around his farm. And on any given time, any piece of equipment hooked to any tractor may or may not be working properly. It may have something missing. It may be broke down, and that's just the way it was. He didn't get upset about it. If it was broke, he would fix it if he could, and if he couldn't, he would find somebody to do it. And if he couldn't find somebody to do it, then he would park it on the fence row, and we'll come to that another day. But in this particular situation, he had a gearbox off of a bush hog, and it's a piece of machine that's required to run the bush hog. It's what spins the blades and cuts the grass. And he had this gearbox, and he had given it to a gentleman to fix. This gentleman told him that he could fix it, and he had given it to him to fix. Now, when this meeting happened that I was present for, he had given this gearbox to this gentleman months and months prior to this. I think it was even a year or years prior to this. So this gentleman had this box to fix for a long time, and he just simply hadn't done it. It was just sitting in the corner of his shop, and he wasn't paying attention to it because my grandfather wasn't a pushy man. He wasn't the guy that was going to knock on the door every single day and ask if it was done or not. He just said, he said he would fix it, and he'll fix it. So we were out to eat on a Friday night. My grandparents went out to eat on Friday nights a lot of times when I stayed with them, and we were at Shoney's. And that'll tell you kind of how old this story is. But we were at Shoney's, and we were sitting there eating, and lo and behold, this gentleman that owed my grandfather work on this gearbox, he owed my grandfather a working gearbox, he walks in. And immediately, my grandmother and my grandfather, they noticed him. And immediately, they kind of started conversing among themselves. Oh, that's so-and-so. Yeah, does he still have yeah, he still has my gearbox. He hasn't fixed it yet. And I remember looking over at the man, and I remember the man would not look up. He would not look towards our table. And I remember my grandmother was asking him, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to go, tell him that he owes you this? What are you going to do? And, we ate our dinner, and we enjoyed ourselves. And then before we left, he got up and he just went over and he talked to the man. And I wasn't there for the conversation. Then as we left, we got in the car. My grandma asked, well, what'd you say to him? And he just said, I just asked him how his day was going, how things were going with him and, his family, his world, how's business going. And he talked to him about his life, and he talked to him, just about everything else. And then at the very end of the conversation, he just said, hey, just let me know when you get that gearbox done. And at the time, it didn't seem like anything. It didn't seem like much at all. Post this story, there were several other interactions that I was present for with my grandfather and this man that owed him the work and that owed him this peace. But never once did my grandfather get in the man's face and say, look, you've had this thing for years now. You've not done what you said you would do. Pay up, give it back to me. Just do what's right. No, in this one particular setting, I witnessed my grandfather exercise love, joy, peace, patience, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, and self-control. I witnessed him display all of the fruits of the Spirit in this one interaction. And it stuck with me, and it's haunted me at times, because there's times where I've been in similar situations where I've not displayed the right things. I've not displayed the fruits of the Spirit. I've given into my flesh, I've given into my emotion, and I've told people like, look, you said you would do this and you didn't do it. What's the deal? Or I've been frustrated and I've not exercised joy, I've not exercised peace, I've not exercised any of the fruits of the Spirit when it comes to different things. But I always look back at this story and think, that's the Father's business. That's the Father's. My grandfather was about the Father's business in exercising the fruits of the Spirit. He was a peacemaker. He exercised love and joy in a time there where he didn't owe the man anything. Too often we get caught up in what people owe us. We get caught up in collecting debts here on this earth. We get caught up collecting the debts that we feel we are owed. When, if we stop and think about it, we all have a debt ourselves that we could never, ever repay. And we're not asked to repay it. So it becomes trivial that we spend we spend time collecting all these debts that don't really mean anything in the long run. And I always look back and think, man, that's the Father's business. That is what I am supposed to be about. Paul says in Galatians 5:13 and 14, you have been called to liberty. Only do not use liberty to give opportunity to the flesh, but by love serve one another. For the entire law is fulfilled in one word, even this: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. The entire law is summed up, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Loving our neighbor as ourselves, that is being about the Father's business. That is being about it. Called to liberty, but we have to be careful. We have this liberty. We have opportunity constantly, but we have to be careful that we don't let this opportunity that we have daily and weekly, these interactions that we have have to be careful that we don't give way to the flesh, but that we love our neighbor as ourself. I heard a story recently that really steered me in the direction that I'm going tonight as far as what I wanted to share. And there's a man that set a bunch of fishing traps on a river. He lived on the river, and he would catch fish, and he would eat them, and he would sell them to his neighbors. This was a big part of his livelihood, was these fishing traps. And every now and then he would catch people stealing fish out of his traps. And he said he would always call them out. He would always say, hey, what are you doing? Come over here. And it would always catch people off guard, because people know, they know that that's not their trap. They know that that's not their fish that they're catching. He would say, hey, come over here. What are you doing? And then he would say, stop stealing my fish. Now come over here. And they would come over there and, apologetic and embarrassed and everything. And he would say, how many do you have? And they'd tell him a number or whatever. And then he would give them that amount out of his own bucket that he had already collected. And he would tell them, stop stealing from me so I can give it to you. You don't have to steal it anymore. If you need more, come and find me. I will give it to you, but just don't steal from me. And I think about that. And I think about how in Proverbs 11:27 it says, he who seeks good finds goodwill, but evil comes to him who searches for it. I think about how many opportunities we have daily to collect a debt and to search out evil and to collect that and to say, look, you've wronged me and now you got to pay. But the word says, he who seeks good finds goodwill. Evil comes to him who searches for it. This man said, I'll give you what it is you're trying to steal. And I think about the things that we worry about being stolen from us. You think about the earthly possessions that we all have. None of us want our things stolen from us. None of us want our car stolen or our house or our possessions stolen. And I'm not saying that that's the wrong mindset. That's just how we are. We have possessions. But there are trivial things that we worry constantly about being stolen from us. We worry about what people think. We worry about people having the wrong idea of us and stealing that perception that we have of ourselves from us. We worry about trivial things. We worry about people stealing things from us here on the earth, and it consumes so much of our time. But do we worry as much about giving eternal things to people? Do we worry as much about giving away the things, the fruits of the Spirit that we're called to live by? Do we worry as much about giving the things away as we worry about things being stolen from us? What is being stolen from us? Nothing's stolen from us, nothing taken from us on this earth. It's not like it can't be replaced. And if it can't be replaced, it's not that important. Love, joy. These things they're trying, the world and the spirit of this earth is trying every single day. More and more as the days go by, they're trying to steal. The devil is trying to steal our love. He's trying to steal our joy, and he's trying to steal our peace. But I think back to this story, and I think, stop letting him steal it and start giving it back to him. When you feel unloved, it's not our first train of thought to give love when we feel like we're not being loved. When somebody's hateful to us or when somebody is rude to us, our first reaction is not to give love to them. But does the word not say to turn the other cheek? Giving what they are trying to steal from us. We all have people in our life, whether we like it or not, that steal joy from us. We all have a coworker, or we have a family member that shows up to all the dinners, and we have somebody in our life that comes into our lives at different moments and they steal joy from us. But what if we just give that joy back? What if we just offer that joy up even more? What if we make up in our minds, like I said at the beginning, what if we set our path and set our course to give the things that we feel like are being stolen from us every day? Now more than ever, it feels like peace is being stolen from us on a daily basis. We're constantly bombarded by things, and chaos feels like it's ensuing everywhere. But what if we start speaking peace not only into our own lives, but into others' lives and into other situations that we have? Giving the things that are trying to be stolen from us. When you feel like it's being stolen from you, give it. When you feel like love is being taken for granted and being taken away from you, give love. Romans 12:21 says, "Do not overcome evil by evil, but overcome evil with good." Doing things to people that have been done to you rarely results in anything positive. It rarely gets us any farther than where we were. My two small children, I think about them, and I think about how my youngest, Isla, my daughter, she's at that point now where she's learning that she's got fists and that she can throw those fists and she can connect with her brother, and that gives her some sort of satisfaction. And I watch my son, and he'll take a hit and he'll get mad and then he'll return the hit. And then I look at him and I'm like, but you're both right in the same position. You're both still upset. She took something from you, or you took something from her, and you hit each other and you're still upset. And it's a silly example, but how much more is it relevant in our lives when things are done to us or taken from us and we resort to try to do things to others or take things back or take things from others? Overcome evil with good. Being about the Father's business. Being about spiritual things. That's what I wanted to bring to you. I want to wrap this up with a verse out of John chapter 5 and verse 17. When Jesus said, "My Father is working still, and I am working." And I want that to be where I leave off tonight. I want that to be where I leave you. Our Father is still working. It may not feel like it. It may feel like everything around us is collapsing. Whatever is going on in your life right now, whatever situation you're in, it may feel like there is nothing being done, and it may feel like the Father is not working anymore in your life. But I'm here to tell you He is. And just like Jesus said, we are called to be working. Our Father is still working, and so are we.